you're going to be tuning into this weekend's fight, here's a tip. Check out my partners at DraftKings Sportsbook. Upgrade your fight experience this weekend with the official sports betting partner of UFC. Are you new to DraftKings? Check this out. New customers that bet just $5 will instantly get $150 in bonus bets. Download the DraftKings Sportsbook app right now. Use the code SONNEN. DraftKings, the crown is yours. That's right. New customers can bet just $5 on anything and receive $150 in bonus bets instantly. DraftKings is giving new customers a shot to get in on the action all night long. If sports betting is not yet available in your state, don't worry. DraftKings is the one-stop shop for all things daily fantasy where you have the chance to win cash prizes. Don't miss out on all the action this week at DraftKings. Download the DraftKings app today. Sign up using dkng.co/Sonnen or through my promo code SONNEN, only at DraftKings Sportsbook. What do you make of Izzy and Du Plessis? Right, they have a press conference, just the two of them. Izzy ends up crying, he ends up getting emotional. And he keeps his ego intact and he hangs on to character. Like Izzy can perform these things he can perform them in ways that very few others can. For example, Izzy's up there crying. He tells you, I'm a man with a soft side, something like that. He says, I'll cry and whip your ass. I mean, he finds a way to keep it together. But what we didn't know is DDP can hold his own up there too. DDP has some massive star qualities. And before we start talking about a plan or a marketing plan or what could be for DDP, he's got to get through Saturday. That is a very tall order. But leading into it, right, with the approach being so much, I'm just wondering what you make of it, because you can't make the same thing. You have two vastly different face-offs. Now, I realize that John Anik was in between at this press conference. I realize it's not quite a face-off, but I think that you can understand. Two guys with a commentator and what ends up happening. The first time that they do that, it cost us the fight. The first time that DDP and Izzy faced off, and Izzy came at him in a very different way. It was the opposite of crying. It was the opposite of being sad. We lost the fight. And I watched it happen. I remember where I was, talking to you guys. And I remember telling you in this moment, we're losing him. We're losing him. I'm talking about DDP. I remember when DDP comes through the curtain, he's in the back, and they put a camera on him. And I remember the things he started saying, we were losing him. He did not like that face-off, and he did not like what happened. He did not like that intensity. He did not like the look in the eye or the sound in the tone, and I don't know which of that it was. I'm sharing with you. When they faced off, he planned, walking into that fight, he planned that night to become the number one contender and fight Israel Adesanya. He planned to go to Australia and do it. The deal could not have been any clearer. There was no other reward for beating Robert Whittaker. That is the one and only reward. And he felt that excitement the moment the ref pulled him off of Robert Whittaker. And he changed his mind before he left the cage that night. When he came through the curtain, he even started getting his story down. Showers up, goes to the press conference, and really starts to put it down. I just remember coming in, bringing this to you guys. I even had to get an argument. Red Pill starts coming back and forth. How can you say that he was scared? And scared is one of these weird words. The guys that they were never actually tough guys, they truly don't understand. Because every tough guy out there gets scared. The same as they all cry, even though Izzy showed it in front of the world. And it's something that the guy on the outside, he doesn't know, and it's just his dirty word. Like, no, they're human beings. They're not sociopaths. They feel every human emotion. Happy, sad, scared, excited. They feel them all. And in that moment, DDP felt scared and he backed down. That is what happened. But here we are. And it's a little bit different, right? I mean, you have the 4-minute mile. Nobody can do it. Then somebody does it. Other people see that he can do it, that it can be done, and then everybody does a 4-minute mile. It's absolutely no big deal. But it's an important story and adage to know in life. Because here you have DDP that does not want that fight, to the point that he said no to that fight would change his life. The financial impact of that fight alone would have changed his life. Couldn't get over it, right? That's what fear is. Fear is something you can't get over. They tell you overcome your fears. Well, if you overcame it, it turns out you're no longer scared of it. So, but then you have a 4-minute mile situation. You have the unbeatable. You have the greatest striker. You have the most mentally sound, the great competitor. All of these things all in one night have the 4-minute mile moment when Sean Strickland outstruck, outfought, outpaced, outgritted, and outpointed Adesanya for all 5 rounds. And all of a sudden, the idea of fighting for a title isn't as challenging of an idea because it doesn't involve the boogie monster. So then you have another great moment, which is MMA math, which works all the time. As much as people love to tell you it doesn't work, it works all the time. And now you just gain a little bit more confidence. And in the meanwhile of doing that, you kick the can again. It's a very little known story is that UFC 300, this was offered. And it wasn't really the one that Adesanya wanted, but he was willing to do it. There was another one where DDP needed a little bit more time. So now you got the more time, and now here you are. And now the very guy that backed down is at a press conference, and he's making you back down. He's putting you in tears. It's a very interesting thing. Like, if you're not following it, I think my biggest problem with Red Pill attempting to correct me on this, it wasn't that he's wrong. It wasn't that. And he was wrong for reasons that he thought he needed to defend DDP. Which was yet another thing he misunderstood. DDP was not being insulted. Being scared makes you normal. Being scared makes you sharp. Fear and respect is an extremely tough thing to define the difference between. What I'm trying to tell you is, what do you make of it now? How do the tables turn to this degree? How does that kind of emotion affect a fighter? We've never seen anybody cry at a press conference before and then go out 2 days later and have a good event. Not a good performance. I can't think of a time where you even got a good outcome. Like, sometimes guys underperform and the other guy underperformed even more. I can't think of a time where that's happened. I can also tell you, I cannot think of a fighter that has ever done better in his career than when it's personal than Israel Adesanya. All the great moments that Izzy has had and all of the great fights that he had is because they were personal. I'll even bring Izzy versus Angry Marvin, just for example. Angry Marvin was this close to beating him, to the point that many people, we didn't know who won when that fight was over. But Izzy didn't know him, and Izzy didn't have any problem with him. Marvin then goes on a run. He's talking about Izzy every day. I'm coming back for him. I'm the guy. I'm the one that's going to beat you. Izzy becomes champion. Marvin stays after. Marvin becomes #1 contender. But when they went and fought, the second one wasn't quite as competitive. And the reason for that was not just skill building and time. Izzy was better when that fight happened. I admit that. Marvin was much better when that fight happened. The gap was there because the ingredient that was missing in the first one, but was present in the second one, was personal, emotional disdain. To a degree. Disdain's a very long word, but to a degree. I submit for you the reason that Izzy underperformed against Sean Strickland. It was the one thing that was missing. He did not have any personal disdain. He tried. He tried to find it. He tried to get it. He looked for it. He just didn't have it with Sean. And have it with Sean to the point that he's not talking about a rematch. He's not talking about rematches now. Sean's coming after him. Dana's already announced that Sean's going to be next. Izzy still hasn't spoke about Sean. He just doesn't have it. He doesn't have that anger towards him. He wants it. He needs Sean to just do a little bit more, but it's just not there. It's there with DDP, so what do you make of it? It's very hard to use history as your trajectory to the future in this fight when you're invoking the emotion. It's very hard. Because guys that cry, guys that lose it, guys that lose their temper, the guys where you have the war of the words and somebody got into the other guy's head, I mean, for the most part, that's not even real. For the most part, that's just, again, that's something that people that don't do it, they think it's real. Oh, he's getting in his head. He's playing psychological games with them. What? What? But then every now and then, a guy does, even if it wasn't on purpose, and he does get in his head, and he does affect him, and he does change him. DDP has done all of those things. DDP's first face-off, he lost. He backed down. The second face-off, he won, has made his opponent cry. So what a difference we have. And I will tell you this as a fan, knowing both. If I got a magic wand and I can make one happen, I have the ability to have DDP and Izzy fight as scheduled in August of last year, or I have the ability to have DDP and Izzy fight this Saturday. With all the changes and the different, I have them fight this Saturday. This is going to be much more a collection of two guys bringing their best version of themselves. But I would like to hear what you make of Izzy and the emotion he showed at the press conference.